G'day, Harry Houdini here, and we have come along in leaps and bounds with the little Skyhawk. Look at that. Look at her. Looks like a bloody aeroplane now, doesn't it? Now, this was a beautiful fit. I don't know how close I can get. Can you see the detail there? Can you see how snug it is? I couldn't believe it. I dry fitted that and it was perfect. It was just amazing. Now, one little thing I did have, and it was me because I'm an idiot. Well, I didn't know, you know. The tail planes here, you might see there's a little gap. There's a little gap, and in the front too. I don't know if you can see. It's a little gap, right? And it looks like, oh dear, Airfix has buggered it up, you know, that the plastic's wrong, that they haven't done the kit correctly. But actually, and I have actually spoken to actual pilots, yes, real people that flew these kind of things, that's correct. That the stabiliser at the back is actually fixed in the middle, but at the front and the back of that particular stabiliser, it is open because the bloody thing, the entire thing pivots and tilts. So not only is there an elevator at the back here, but apparently the entire tail plane also moves. And I'll show you a photo. It's amazing. So there you go. Airfix was right. I was just in paranoid dragon mode. You know, when you're building Dragon, trust nothing, believe nothing, don't believe, you know, you panic the whole time. You sit there with diagrams and photos of the bloody tank you're trying to build because, you know, Dragon is going to lead you down the wrong path. But not Airfix. No, we love Airfix. So this kit is bloody brilliant, all right? Everything goes together so well and instructions are correct. And it's just a joy. You know, I don't think I can go back to building crappy old Dragon tanks after this. Airfix planes! Now look, have you noticed my hat? Australian Royal Flying Doctors. Yes, there you go. That's about as close as I get to aviation. Anyhow, look, I've got to mask up that little cockpit area. And you know this, oh, I digress. You know this little bit here I was worried about bumping off because you know I knocked this one off, right? Turns out I shouldn't have stressed. Because Edward in their cleverness, I don't know if you can even bloody see that, Edward in their cleverness, they provide that bit. And they provide the slightly bigger one, which is correct for the kit or the model plane that I want to build. So isn't that good? Now, other news. Oh, all the way from England, well, the UK, Britain, whatever you want to call yourself. Anyhow, from Blighty came this. Now, I know it says NATO pilots, but I'll show you inside. I looked because I wanted some crew on the deck of my submarine for this. Because if you have been paying attention, you know that my Airfix Skyhawk, or my A4 Skyhawk from Airfix, look at these, it's sitting on top of a submarine. Alright, so I don't know if that's going to focus. Can you see anything? Is it just all mustache hidden inside of a plastic mask? Anyhow, look, they're not bad. And I'm not a real big fan of Revell. If you saw the last video, I gave the Revell Arizona a bit of a bashing. But look, it is a pretty crap kit. It's 50 years old, which is okay for its day. But for that to be the same price, like I see in the store here for $50, for that to be the same price as good quality Airfix, Trumpeter, Dragon kits, well, that's just bullshit, you know, that's just not on. But anyhow, it's come back to haunt me because I've had 3 people send me their builds of the Arizona and they've done wonderful jobs. Admittedly, they put a ton of PE on them and, you know, replaced practically everything, so it's basically only a Revell in name. I think, you know, the original hull might have been half of it Revell. Anyhow, we digress. We are building a Skyhawk. We don't need to talk about battleships. I'll get back to battleships. I'll talk about battleships. I accidentally just bought this. I'm going to show you a pic. Alright, enough of that science fiction nonsense. Oh, I am a sucker for a Battlestar. Oh, goodness, and only a few shekels. Now, back to the hairy plane. This is the stage, I am told, because I am basically feeling my way through after coming back to aircraft after 40 years. This is the stage where I've basically got the body and the wings and everything on. I mean, look at the dihedrals on that. That was so easy. I'll show you some photos at the end. This thing didn't require much skullduggery. Click, and everything was angled correctly and all fitted together. Anyhow, I'm waffling. We're going to paint. Top of it dark grey. Underside white. Well, light grey. But I'm going to paint it white. I'll probably put a bit of wash on. By the time I do that, it's going to be a bit of a light grey. And Airfix, in their cleverness, I am so amazed by Airfix. I really am. This sprue is all for the underside, so it gets to be white. This sprue is all for the top side, so it gets to be grey. So I can pre-paint a lot of the parts on the sprue. And I've got the exact matching colours to my rattle can spray as hairy brush paint. So this will just be basically like priming the parts and getting them ready and putting them together. Now I did this with the Cooker Blitz. I actually sprayed all the parts on the sprue because it was a grey kit and I was building a sandy coloured Cooker Blitz Panzer IV. And that was good. I sort of did that. I just thought it'd be a good idea, and it really worked actually. And then when I assembled it, occasionally I had to scrape a little bit of paint off to get the plastic areas to bond. But basically the kit built up pretty well the correct colour, and I only had to go in and touch little areas that that needed a bit extra paint. So there's a little trick. It doesn't always work, but it will work for this one. I can paint the sprues a single colour, and I'm going to paint that side grey, that side white. So I better stop rabbiting on and chatting with you. Let's get on with the bloody thing. Now here's that tail assembly. You can see the tiny bit front and back that are out. There's the beautifully assembled Skyhawk. She went together so well. And there it is, the other side. Oh look, so clean, so good, easy. Alrighty, I've got the white coat on the bottom, which you can't see because I've gone and put the tape all over it before I actually bothered to show you. But the top is not painted, but everything's masked out, and I've gone to so much trouble to mask this up. I've stuck a bit of leftover bit of my sponge in there, which is one sort of trick apparently, is to fill your cockpit up with something and then it's easier to mask. And I've masked those air intakes. I mean, you know, it's all bloody mask of Zorro here. I've managed to get the lines as close as I can now. The sides here are kind of wobbly on the real one. I don't know. Every photo I looked at had a different sort of wobbly line there. But mine's going to be straight because my tape's straight. So that's what I'm going to go with, and we'll worry about that later. But there you go. That's a fiddly job. It took me about half an hour to mask him all up. So now I'm going to go out and spray that top section, the medium sea grey. Now I know there's many of you that don't believe that I don't have spray an airbrush, and I actually rattle can. So I'm going to show you. This is what goes on. And, you know, you've seen some of the results of what I do. You can do it. There's a lot of things you can't do when you're doing it this way, and there's a lot of guys that, you know, do some fantastic stuff you've got to have a good airbrush for. Now, those have all been painted, all my bombs and me, the armament hangers, they're already painted white. So they're going over there. I've knocked the bloody sprue on the ground. No, it's hopeless. Luckily that's the one that doesn't have much stuff on. So there's some more bombs and some little hatches and things. So they're all painted. Now the beauty is both those sprues were for the underside, so they all got painted white. This sprue, Airfix, basically had all the parts there which are upper body, upper parts of the aeroplane, upper fuselage. You know, is the body. So they've all been painted grey. So there you go. So now what we're going to do is, even though the sun is fading, it is getting late. I have left this late, but there you go. So just for those people that don't believe me, and really we're all masked up, cross fingers. I haven't scored my panel lines, but there's a whole lot of stuff got to go in this, so I'm going to see if it really needs it. I could always score them and touch it up later. I just want to get a coat of paint on this. So here we go. Same principles as you would do with anything. Start on the outside. Don't start and then spray. Start on the outside. Continuous strokes. Okay. And this stuff dries instantly. It's brilliant. Well, I like this Tamiya stuff. Because although it's an acrylic, it's a lacquer. Lacquer, I don't know. It's a lacquer. So there you go. And because of that, it really sticks to things. And one of the problems I've found with just acrylics is you try and put them on plastic and sometimes they don't quite bond very well, and this is why you need to prime. You need to prime and have a uniform colour and a uniform texture to your model. But surprisingly, these rattle cans from Tamiya, they kind of do that. So you get the colour that you want, and it's primed, and it's all in one go. Alright, so let's do a little bit of time. I don't go crazy, I don't put it on too heavy. You don't need to. And it dries so quickly, you can sort of just work your way through. Slowly building it up. And like with any of this sort of painting, you put a little bit on first. You only want to sort of feather it on. Then as you go, you kind of can put a bit more. Because once it's actually stuck to the plastic, then it's easier to put a slightly heavier coat on. But you know, it's all in feeling and knowing how to do it, and that takes sort of years of really mucking around and buggering up at a lot of models, as we all did, and as we all sometimes do. So, alright, so that's sort of the easy bits. Now I've really got to get into some of those edges there. This is where Harry Houdini's hands will get painted. That's okay. Hands can be washed. Okay, so the beauty is because it's all taped on that one side, that can keep going down, and that's my saving grace. Now, under here, all that's got to get painted. So this is where it'd be really handy to have some sort of little stick or something, wouldn't it? And plan ahead, Harry Houdini, but you didn't, did you? No, you just got too excited and you wanted to paint your bloody plane. There you go. That might work. That might work. Fading sun. And as he says that, he just sprays all his whole hand. Oh, well, never mind. I've got to get in there. And there like that, that's it. Too bad. It's just can't quite get into that spot. You just don't worry about me. I'll just push around there. I think I got in there. So now it's just a matter of eyeballing it. And the beauty is this stuff comes off your hands pretty easily. It's not too bad at all. It's very easy to work with. I think I've got under there. Anyhow, I can always touch that up by hand because, as I say, I do have this colour in brush, in brushable paints, so I can do that. As long as you've got a feathering of paint on there, you know, the hint of it, you can then the paint on the brush will bond nicely. So I think I've got that. I'm just going to add a bit more of the wings, give a bit more of a sheen. Don't mind me, I'm in my own shadow. I'm used to painting in the dark. I'm used to being a mushroom. You know, a mushroom? Fed shit and kept in the dark. That's it. Alright, that's it. I'm not going to do any more. I'm not going to bugger hours around with this anymore. Now it's only been 5 minutes and this is dry enough to handle already. That's the beauty of this sort of paint. And probably a lot of your acrylics will behave exactly the same. Now one trick that I learnt a long time ago is with your masking, don't leave it overnight and pull the tape off the next day, because invariably then you'll pull it off and somehow the paint will have dried and bonded so much so that when you pull it off, great big chunks rip off. So while the paint is sort of touch dry but still sort of tacky, this is the best time to remove your masking, because you can touch it carefully and you can still bugger it with you're too heavy-handed with your mitts. But if you're careful and you gently pull it off, then the beauty is, because the paint's still a little bit elastic and a little bit soft, it'll separate very nicely where the paint's overlapping on the tape. Okay, because otherwise you leave it too long, that paint sort of really bonds at that point on the tape, and then it can decide to basically, you know, stay stuck and rip a great big chunk out. So if you've ever done that, if you've ever done masking and then it's come off and it's all been horrible, did you leave it overnight? If you did, you buggered it. Right, so here we go. See, it's all coming off rather well. And as you see, I can touch this. No problem at all. I'm careful, not putting a lot of pressure on, but look at that. So, that's 5 minutes after I've painted it, and I've got too much bloody light there. Let me piss that off. There we go. You'll see those lines are fine, and I've managed to get white on one side and grey on the other. That seems to have worked, and that front has come up a treat. I know it's perfectly straight, but that's what I wanted. That's how mine's going to be. My painters couldn't be bothered doing wobbly lines. They decided they were on a very straight day, so that's how I'm going to do it. And you know, we can fight about that another day. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of something down there, but I'll get that out later. I think it's just a couple of little bits of sanding that somehow I managed to miss. I didn't manage to get out with my toothbrush. Now look, here we go, the tailplane, you see, it's all grey. Well, it isn't. It isn't because the magic of stickiness. Right. Ta-da! So there you are, see? And it comes off really nicely because those edges, as I say, still have a bit of electricity in them. They still have electricity. Elasticity! They don't have electricity, Harry, did you? What the hell are you talking about? Goodness me, have you been sniffing the cans again? That's what happens. You can't breathe this stuff from Tamiya, by the way. It is noxious. It is dangerous. Might say that it's acrylic, but I tell you, there is something really bad in it. I mean, I know it's got alcohol, but the lacquer thing worries me. You know, that lacquer, the lacquer. So there we go. That's, see, it's all white and it's all grey. Okay. Now you're asking, why haven't you done the cockpit, Harry? That's because I'm shit scared that I've buggered it, haven't I? So let me just sort of, I'm a bit stucky up here. Right, let's just remove that. I've got some grey fingers, but they'll clean really quickly in the bathroom with a little bit of stuff. So what we can do is, it's often good to get a pair of tweezers now if you're doing this. So that's come off nicely. There's my layer intake. And there's decals that go on there, so I wasn't too worried about the furry edges. I just didn't want to get anything inside. So inside there, they're all still white. Can you tell? Can you see? Probably bloody not. It's all just too hard. But yeah, see, they're white in there. So that's worked. Now, here's the moment of truth here. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Oh, apprehensive. Well, look at that. Well, if I'd known he could have come out, I could have painted him without all that stress. Look, little bugger's escaped. He's hit the ejector seat and he's pinged off, he's buggered off, he's pissed off. How about that? All right, look, I'm going to stop the camera at this point because this could be very scary, and I'm going to very carefully take all that off. Here's a helpful hint. You can remove your pilot's seat and paint, and you can put him back in later. Who'd have thunk it? All right, there was a stressful couple of minutes there, but it turned out there really wasn't that much of a problem. So, as far as I can tell, she's okay. I mean, the spongy thing really worked. It worked so well that, but yeah, that little ejector seat, she actually comes out still. Did I forget to glue it in? Oh, maybe I did. But maybe there's an idea. If your ejector seat, well, if your pilot seat can actually fit, well, they should, because they're supposed to boing out, aren't they? So really, you can just paint your cockpit, you know, with the basics in. Obviously, you've got to mask up your console because there's a little console in there. Has it survived? Can you see? Can you tell? Is any of this? Oh, look, I can't see. Can you see? Can you see in there? Let's have a look. He seems to be okay. He's all there. But anyhow, he's nice and grey. And as I said, for Mr. Surfacer, it's done the trick here. We've got too much light. Far too much light here. Far too much light. There we go. So Mr. Surfacer has done the trick, and I'm pretty happy with that nose. You know, and back over here, it's all looking lovely and smooth. Remember, that was 2 halves of fuselage glued together, and I think it's come up a treat. I think that looks mighty, you know, for my first aircraft in 40 years. But I'm using principles that I've used in a long time, because although I had my 40 years break from modelling, in my work and things that I was doing, I used to build things and make things and do all kinds of stuff all the time. So a lot of these skills were kept alive, although they were used not in plastic modelling, they were used in set design and you know, building things and creating things. And this is what I did. You know, this was my life in television and in the things that I did in the theatre. I was very creative and busy. So I have kept my skills alive in other things. Anyhow, so there she goes. She's got her white bum, wow, white underside, right, and she's got her grey top, and apparently that's the correct colour. That's supposed to be an RAF sea grey, medium sea grey. Well, I don't know. It looks okay. I think it'll do for what I'm doing. It may not be exactly spot on. In fact, it looks a little bit green, but I'm happy. I've made a Skyhawk, and that's what I'm trying to do. So look, that's where we've got it. I've got to glue my my little ejector seat, because remember I said last time we had all these lovely little photo etchy things on the side. Can you see? Is it possible to see? See, look, now you can see them. So maybe I'll actually leave it loose, and that way I can go, look, turn the plane upside down, and the little ejector seat will fall out. And I'll go, look at that great bit of PE. What did I put on there? Well, look, I better stop fiddling with things before I break them. And this has probably gone on long enough. So we have a basic paint job, and we have the basic construction done for our little Skyhawk, and I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, she's really starting to look like a little aeroplane. I'm quite chuffed. I really am. So look, thank you to the people on Scale Model Appreciation that gave me some advice. So it was Ian, good on you, Ian, and everyone else there. You know, all the other fellas there. You know who you are. I can't remember names. Look, you know who you are. And International Scale Modeler, there's people on there that have been giving me hints and tips, and you guys are wonderful, you know, because you make me look good. And I'm not. I'm just like you. I'm fumbling through and figuring it out. So anyhow, that's about it. That's all we've got time for. I'll get on with it. Get that landing gear in, and we've got all these lovely decals to put on. Oh yes, Kanga bloody roos. All right, that's it. Enough waffling. You've probably got things to do, so I better go. And yeah, goodbye from Harry Houdini. Well, we usually say hooroo, don't we? Hooroo from Harry Houdini, and goodbye from Down Under.